Oh, I saw this. Look at this. This is funny, bro.
Another whistle.
The studio for Avowed has, bro, they have a mole in the studio. They've got a man on the inside that's exposing what they're saying. Yeah, caught? I know.
Blower has come forward from Obsidian Entertainment.
There's one good man.
Providing me with some actual...
So if there's anything good about the game, it's probably from him. That's how, you know what? That's how they should figure out who the leaker is. When the game comes out, look at the function of the game that's liked by players. That's the guy who leaked it. Yep. Real simple.
Screenshots
just
of
fire him.
Internal dialogue and conversations from Matt Hansen. And these screenshots that have been provided to me completely expose not just the toxic environment of Obsidian Entertainment currently, but how Matt Hansen himself is actively encouraging it and making it worse. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT.
Let's see
This
it.
is now the third different person associated with Obsidian Entertainment reaching
I should make a t-shirt that says gamers rise up and try to sell it and see how many I sell. That would be such a good idea.
Out to me. Like a one-off would be like, oh wow, okay, we got a whistleblower here. This is becoming like almost a daily trend where someone who works at Obsidian has had enough of the BS that they've been shoving down everyone's throat, and they want change to happen.
Okay, let's see it.
JT. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out smashjt.com for the full and extreme...
I think that there's probably a lot of people that are worried about their job. Because, like, if you have somebody at your work that you know is causing a bunch of problems, you know that eventually it will affect you. Right? It's not going to happen overnight, but there will be a convergence point where you get fucked.
Exhaustive article going through not just these screenshots, but additional information I've been told from other whistleblowers about Matt Hansen and his job security situation going on at Obsidian right now. Because this is getting insane. A whistleblower with internal information from Obsidian Entertainment has come forward with shocking screenshots and Slack messages from Matt Hansen, completely exposing the company's internal toxic culture.
And this is also really important to say, is that any of this kind of stuff that you see, like, none of it was notarized by, like, the state. Right? I mean, like, it's not like we have a video of it. It's a screenshot. So, like, you can take everything here with a grain of salt. You can never be certain that it's true. Could all be bullshit. Yeah, it's always important to say that.
Individual reached out to me with a burner email to protect their identity, fearing that, once again, of course, severe backlash for daring to expose the truth would soon follow if their name got out there. And it's a trend we're seeing not just at Obsidian Entertainment, but the video game industry at large has turned into this cult-like mentality of...
I think that it's very interesting that if you think that if your ideas get out into the public, or what you do privately and what your values are privately get out to the public, that you'll be in trouble, maybe you should think about the quality of those values. Maybe it's because the values are bad.
Blackballing anybody who dares speak out against the ideology, the message. The information they've shared with me is honestly pretty troubling, not just for Matt Hansen, but the entire environment that's been created over the past few years at Obsidian Entertainment. And it paints a very grim picture of what life is like now at one time, one of the industry's most beloved game development studios.
Well, that never lasts.
As with all my coverage with the video game industry, this insight I'm providing in this video is for informational purposes only. Please do not reach out, contact, or in any way, shape, or form harass any of the people I'm going to be naming in this video. The best way for us to fight back against the broken ideology is to simply shine a light on it and let nature run its course naturally on this. It's the only way, it's the best way, it's the right way. I've been sent
I think that's another reason why these people don't want to have these viewpoints exposed to the public. It's because they know that they can't exist in the free marketplace of ideas. They know that if people see them saying this, they will get called out for being ridiculous.
of Slack messages from Obsidian's internal communications revealing a hostile and very toxic work environment led by none other than Matt Hansen, Obsidian's art director, someone who I've talked about in great detail in multiple videos previously. He oversees many employees at Obsidian and by all accounts fostered an awful atmosphere where ideological conformity is not just encouraged but demanded. And if you step out of line or dare question it, you're the next person on the chopping block. The internal Slack messages reveal a disturbing trend of certain employees at Obsidian banding together to ridicule and berate not just Elon Musk, but also going at Grums on Twitter. These people have Grum's derangement syndrome and Musk derangement syndrome.
Why does everybody hate Mark Kearns so much? I can see like not liking his opinions, but I feel like the level of vitriol that Mark Kern gets is crazy. It's like what? Because he's the biggest on Twitter. I guess his takes are a bit deranged. Yeah, but there's a lot of people that are deranged, right? What I'm saying is like I don't think that he's like any more. Is he more deranged than other people? I feel like there's a lot of people that are deranged.
They cannot stand people on the other side of their ideologies. And with some of the things that are said here publicly on the Slack internally at Obsidian is pretty sketch. Schwa Alvarez shared the photo that many people have already seen where Elon Musk was pointing out how pronouns were in this role-playing game and how pronouns have no place in role-playing. And instead of them talking about this and trying to maybe put their heads together and reevaluate what the gamers want, they are celebrating it internally on their Slack channel, where Schwa Alvarez says, "We've done it!" Clapping, clap.
I do think that there is a large percentage of people, I don't know whether it's majority, I think that it's probably becoming a majority if it's not, like this amount of people is going up, that people, it's kind of like, you know, you can't fault humans for pattern recognition, really. And I think it's very obvious that like games that try to enforce pronoun usage are oftentimes games that have other types of unpopular, weird social messaging. So I think people seeing pronouns and they're like, oh, geez, it's going to be one of these games, right? And so where there's smoke, there's fire. Exactly. And so I don't think people really have a problem with the pronouns themselves. Like some people do, but it's that they exist inside of a larger ideology that comes with them.
Clapping, sharing the image of Elon Musk pointing out how there's pronouns, and then Schwa follows it up with, "Let me know if this is too political and I'll delete it. Just thought it was funny, getting a shout out from the man himself."
I'm going to be honest, him saying that, there's nothing wrong with him saying that. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Wow, one of the most famous and richest people in the world talked about your game in a public place. Yeah, of course you'd mention this, and there's nothing wrong with him saying that. That's not bad, no.
And honestly, taking a step back here, sure, it was out of line to share this, but at least...
I disagree. I don't think it was out of line at all. It's directly related to their work, and it's one of the most influential people in the world talking about it. I don't think there's anything wrong with him sharing it.
Schwa was like, hey, if this is too political, I'll take it off the Slack, because honestly, they realize it's probably pretty unprofessional to share this and talk like this. They're just trying to own the chuds and can't help but celebrate it. But this goes to the toxic culture that's been created there, because Justin Bull replies with, "This is a badge of honor. We did well." And
yeah, with a surprise, with the parentheses, he, him. Yep, there we go. And, yep, easy. That's it? Yeah. And so this is really where it does kind of become a problem, where people, their idea of success is making other people unhappy who disagree with them. This is just generally not a very good creative, it's not a very good creative motivation. What does chud mean? Chud means stupid conservative. Basically.
Everybody's celebrating it with emojis and replying. And And you notice a trend with all of these people I'm sharing,
really?
for the most part,
pretty much.
include pronouns after their name. It's pretty curious that the
surprise.
odds of all these people have pronouns and they just happen to all work together. Or have they cultivated this environment making sure that people have gotten through the process?
And the funny thing also is that the only person who's not obnoxious and annoying is the person who didn't have pronouns in their name. Because if you look at this guy doesn't have it. It's all the other people that have it. And so he was the only one that wasn't obnoxious and annoying.
All these people have pronouns and they just happen to all work together? Or have they cultivated this environment making sure that people have gotten through?
You can't speak in a gender-neutral way in lots of languages? Yeah, I wonder why.
The process. And that's one of the steps you have to pass. You share pronouns and then you're accepted into this cult. Daniel Chamberlain replied with, "I've never been more proud." And Jay Turner said, "Hey everyone, pack it up. We lost Grums." Think about this for a second. This is an internal Slack conversation. And this is what these people think about. Instead of focusing on making a great game, they're looking at how do we take down Elon Musk and own the chuds and make Grums look bad. And like, this is how they're approaching their work? Where did we go wrong? Angelo Rosenberg said, "LOL, this was literally my suggestion bug to add pronouns to the menu. I do this."
Why would you want this? It keeps going.
Followed up with, "I kept forgetting what pronouns we picked for our QA saves and wanted to make sure our gendered dialogue was picking the right pronouns." Which...
Oh, God. Man. How fucking obnoxious. Jesus, how obnoxious. So retarded it is. Are they not ashamed of this convo leaking? I don't know. I think that they probably think that they're right. Like, it's kind of what I said before, is like, even, and these people are in no way, shape, or form, you know, on that same level, but a lot of dictators and like horrible people in history, most of them think that they're the good guy. There are very few people who think that they're the bad guy, and they do this. From their point of view, they're doing the right thing. Now, the right thing might be bad from the point of view of most other people, but they do believe they are doing the right thing. And also, again, I find it to be funny. The most obnoxious posts or the least obnoxious posts are made by the people that don't have it next to their name. Hey, everyone, we lost Grums. Okay, yeah, fine. It's whatever. Yeah, sure. Fuck this guy. It's whatever. But it's these people. I'm so proud that I made this guy mad. Yeah, it's just, I mean, I can't help but see the pattern there.
Coming from someone who was a former QA tester, I can speak to this and say, okay, I might be able to understand and grasp at that stage of the game.
Sure.
But keeping them in after you've done all the QA goes to show that you really don't need the pronouns in there. It was something for the testing, potentially required, but putting them in and leaving them there is just giving people who don't want them a giant FU.
Yeah.
Olivia Burkhead shared the photo of triggering conservative snowflakes is so hot right now. And Matt Hansen...
That's definitely... Those are the people that you want making creative content. Oh, yeah. Triggering conservative snowflakes. Right, of course. I wonder how many people she has blocked on Twitter, and how many things that she has muted, and how many people think she thinks should get banned on social media for saying things that she disagrees with. This is always it. It's people, conservatives and snowflakes. Well, the thing is that this is the problem. So it's like a false equivalency where people like that add something into the game that's unpopular. And people voice their concern and they say, we don't like this, we're not going to buy this. And they think that people are triggered because of that. Well, in a way, I mean, you could say that, but the truth is that they just simply don't agree with you. And it's kind of like an emotional escalation of a disagreement in order to make the person who you disagree with seem unreasonable. So instead of saying that they disagree with you, you're saying that they're pissing their pants angry, or they're, having a meltdown or something like that. So you emotionally escalate the language to create the assumption that the other person is behaving irrationally. And this is very, very common. And once you see it happen, it becomes like you see it everywhere. Where are you pulling this data from? My own personal experience and just what I've observed myself. Have you guys observed the same thing? Like, I've observed this a lot. Yeah.
Comes in, and you would think this is when a leader at a company would say, all right, guys, you know, having some fun, okay, let's bring it back to work, let's focus back on what we're doing here, we had our little jokes aside with this, and we're good with it, but okay, let's focus on the game, right? No, of course not. This is Matt Hansen. This rules. I am fully giddy over it. Good going, everybody. And people clicking the evil Patrick looking...
I have to say that I think it's kind of funny that his profile picture is a guy soy-facing. It might actually just be him. I think it's very fucking funny. And, oh god.
Over someone emoji for people agreeing with him. This is how a leader cultivates an extremely toxic work environment by being very negative about things that honestly, on the whole, most gamers would say, hey, we're kind of on the side with Grumps. We kind of agree with Elon. And even if the people who don't, many people just want...
It's also that, like, some people might find it weird, but the problem I think that a lot of people have is that when you try to have a measured conversation about this, you are misrepresented and labeled as some sort of word that's defined in order to make you stop expressing yourself. So I think that a lot of people basically are kind of ambivalent towards pronouns, but I think what's happened is that the seemingly forced inclusion of them that's combined with the seemingly... like, you can't criticize this, you can't talk about it, you can't say this is bad, you can't be against it without being misrepresented. I think that a lot of average, reasonable people see that, and they see how dishonest it is, and it automatically alienates them away from the perspective. I think that's what happens. Because I feel like there's a lot of people who don't want to be... because they can empathize with the person who expresses a genuine concern or disagreement with something, or they just don't have the same viewpoint on it. But then when that person gets alienated, isolated, and then turned into a villain, well, I think a lot of people can empathize because they probably have... like, recently there was like this really popular tweet going around on Twitter, and it was, what was your most unwoke opinion, right? And a lot of people, the reason why it was so popular is because a lot of people, it's kind of like a getting it off my chest type thing. And that now that that type of ideology doesn't have as much of a stranglehold, people feel more able to express how they feel. And I think that there's a fundamental human desire to be able to express yourself and live your life and not have to live a lie, right? You don't have to like constantly acknowledge something that isn't true or anything like that. So be free. Yeah, people want to be free, and they don't like being told what to do. It's really just that simple. So I think that if you break it down to that level, and then you understand that people empathize with the person who's getting demonized for just having an opinion that's slightly off-center, I think that's why you see so many people that have been radicalized against it.
Good game. It's not about controlling people. Us versus them and this, that, the other thing. It's just make a good game at the end of the day. And it goes to show just how in their heads we are by daring to want good video games. Bray Seal replied with, stupid will be...
And I also want to say, too, that this ideology will permeate the entire game. People like this, they don't compartmentalize the way that they think about this in one aspect of their life. It will affect the entire game. I guarantee it. There will be all kinds of weird messaging. There will probably be different dumb things in the game like that. There will be the same types of, like, you know, reverse stereotyping that happens. Yeah, it's not like they just check this at the door and they only have this for Elon Musk and that's it. No, it's an entire top-down ideology that affects everything.
stupid, but I'll never get over how insane of a hill pronouns are to die on. Like, if you have to pretend it's not an effing backbone of language/grammar and then argue what, you shouldn't be able to choose what people effing call you in a role-playing game.
I think the reason why people don't like it is because it goes against... So the problem is that pronouns create... This is, I think, reason why a lot of people don't like it, is that it creates basically an expectation that you will provide them yourself, which turns into effectively compelled speech. So when people didn't have pronouns in 2021, like when AOC didn't have pronouns, who cares? Well, they do. That's why they put them in the game. They care a lot about this. That's why they're putting it in the game. So, and also when they care a lot about it, you can also assume that they care about other things too. So in order for you to die on a hill, it requires somebody else to be willing to kill you on it. And the fact is that if a lot of people don't like pronouns, and this is something that's like a very outspoken problem with players, why are you the ones that are dying on the hill of pronouns? Why are you building the hill to begin with? Why are you doing this? So if this is this unpopular ideology, then just take it out. It's their game. Well, yeah, but it's my Twitter account or my Reddit account or, you know, Elon Musk's. And so they're going to say what they think too. Like, everybody is entitled to think this. But what my point is that when you bring out a game that has a bunch of unpopular messaging or things that don't resonate with an audience, you can't blame your audience and demonize them and then act like a victim. At the end of the day, video games are art, but they're also a consumer product. And if your consumer product doesn't meet the expectations of the market, you will fail in the market and everybody in your company will be out of a job. So the problem is that this ideology is actually, and this is one thing that I find to be, I actually think this is one of the most dangerous things that a lot of people have now, is what I would consider conspicuous, selfish empathy and moralism. And what I mean by that is that these are the kinds of people who want to give second chances to murderers and abusers and bad actors and criminals. And then the result of their actions that make themselves feel good are that other people are in a materially dangerous, more dangerous situation in real life. And so what happens a lot, yeah, bleeding hearts. Well, yeah, exactly. But the thing is that it's not their heart that bleeds, it's somebody else's. And so what these people do is that they're happy to write checks for your time, your money, and your well-being so they can feel good about themselves. And as soon as you realize that everything and all of what they're saying is not based off of like a principle, and they don't live up to this principle themselves in a lot of cases. But these are people that are living in gated communities up north that are talking about how great illegal immigration is. Well, you don't even have any illegal immigrants there. How do you know this? You have no idea. You're talking about this as if it's as theoretical. But you're more than willing to cash that check for somebody else. And so that's what I'm saying before. It's this selfish form of empathy and altruism that these people try to display in order to be seen as a good person. And oftentimes the outcome of that is that it will hurt everybody else around them. And I think that's what this is going to do. And so this form of, performative altruism will end up causing people to probably lose their job at this studio ultimately, because this is creating a lot of negative press for the game, and it will create a massive negative reaction to the game when it releases. This is what will happen. And when those people lose their job, who, all these people that are talking about this and congratulating themselves for like adding this stuff into the game and saying about how good it is to trigger people, what do you think they're going to say? Doesn't matter, really. Doesn't make a difference. Hopefully, yeah. It'll happen, guaranteed. And it might not happen with this game, but it'll probably happen in 2 games or 1 game from now. A lot of times, studios don't die with 1 game. They die with 2 or 3 games that continuously lose quality. I doubt Avowed sales are going to be impacted by this. People love Obsidian games. How could you say that with I feel like BioWare is known more than Obsidian. Maybe that's just my own personal perspective. But I feel like Dragon Age is an existing IP, and it's made by a really big studio. I think that Dragon Age was set up more to succeed than Avowed was. So I think that judging off of like the name value of an IP and then also a known studio, I think that if Dragon Age could fail, Avowed could very easily fail. That's what I'm saying.
I'm like, bro, no, that's not what pronouns are for. That's not how they work. You're using pronouns as titles, not pronouns. That's the problem. How do you not see the difference here? Well,
the reason why they can't see the difference is because they think that they is a accurate word to describe an individual. If you look at the way that the English language is constructed, they is plural. Like, a lot of people don't use it that way.
She, they, yes. So I think that would probably explain why they're so loopy with their thinking. Matt Hansen replied, he is not a bright man. About Elon Musk. Okay, so...
I think that whenever, and this is one thing that I always notice, any time that somebody tries to make an intelligence, like a, what's the word for it? Like a judgment on intelligence of a successful person, and it's almost always a negative thing. The reason for it is because they're stupid. They're the ones that are stupid, and they look at success or why something is happening in a very one-dimensional way, and they can't see other people who disagree with them as being intelligent. Like, anytime that I see somebody say that, like, somebody like Elon Musk or Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg is stupid, I immediately assume that they're stupid. And I've never been wrong.
The richest man in the world, or at least one of the richest men in the entire world, who has run an electric car company, runs a social media company, runs a robotic company, an AI company, and has his hands in a lot of different areas of everything of society, and is trying to push society further, go to Mars, create SpaceX. Like, this guy has done more things this far in his life than half of humanity combined together up to this point. But yeah, sure, you can just say, Elon Musk, he's just an idiot. I just think he's really dumb. When in reality, the fact is, Matt, you are jealous of Elon Musk's success, and because it flies in the face of your ideology, you're calling him dumb. Jeremy Tedisco.
I agree with that for sure. I do. I think that's what it is. Yet they always call people dumb. I hate when people worship him. It's obvious Elon Musk is a very intelligent person who has a lot of visionary viewpoints on things that he has in some cases made into a reality. If that's not intelligence, then what is? How do you define, like, what is intelligence? Yeah, a decade ago, they were the ones praising him. Yeah, exactly. He's an investor. Yeah. And he made good calls. Warren Buffett's an investor too. He's a really smart guy. Charlie Munger was an investor. Really smart guy. Absolutely.
Replied, can luminaries have negative luminance values? And Peter Wano replied with, isn't that a dimwit? Which I guess now they're doing dad jokes against Elon Musk because they're all in agreement that he's not intelligent. But what these people are forgetting is this is a public Slack channel that people are chatting on at Obsidian and partner networks that are in it. So people all see this. And these people are so indoctrinated with their own propaganda and ideologies that they just think everyone is in the cult with them.
Yeah.
When in reality, they're not. And they're not accepting of this kind of approach to life.
No, they're not. And they're not accepting to it so much to an extent that the reason why they think he's stupid is because he doesn't agree with them. If he agreed with them, they would think he's the smartest person in the world.
Or replied with, not too late to add a rat creature to the game and name it elongated muskrat that indistinctly mumbles something about pronouns and drops shoddy blood-soaked emeralds when you stab it, which, I mean...
What the fuck? Bro, like, what is this? This is amazing. Yeah, I don't get this. What is this? Immediate low IQ tout? Yeah, I'll read your comment. Not L take. A lot of Elon dick riders here. What part of what I said isn't true? L take? Yeah, no, what is it? There's a lot of Elon Musk dick riders here. What does that have to do with anything? So you're basing your opinion off of somebody based off of other people's opinions of them? So it's like other people like this guy, so I'm not gonna like this guy. What? I don't understand what this thinking is. What's the conclusion of this? I don't want to waste too much time on this. Yeah, okay. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. He roached out. He did. He completely roached out.
I'll be honest, I'll give him credit here. It's actually, it's pretty funny. Except when you consider that that's a person, and now you are putting their name on them and trying to murder them in a game and make light of it. Which, I gotta take a step back and be like, where did we go wrong here? Where did we...
Yeah, that's a really weird thing to say. I'm gonna be honest. Like, putting a character into a game that's supposed to represent or be an illusion to a real person, and then you get some sort of reward or something happens whenever you kill the character. This is something that either a third grader or a person with a mindset of a third grader thinks. Like, it's really weird. Yeah, it's just super weird.
Lose our way.
It's weird and
making
obsessive,
the RPGs fun and having a good time with them, instead of force injecting ideologies into the game and trying to get a win just to own the chuds at the end of the day. What are we doing? These leaked messages from the internal Obsidian Slack reveal an environment where ideological hostility takes precedence over any sort of professional behavior. Employees are competing...
Or even just normal human behavior. Because they dehumanize people who disagree with them. And I think the best example of that is the elongated muskrat. That's not a person. There you go. That's what they do.
And taking increasingly hostile jabs at Musk, where one was even suggesting mocking him through in-game content and killing him. Then we have someone like Brianna Seal, who goes by she, they, joining in, increasing the fervor with a statement saying, "I'll never get over how insane of a hill pronouns are to die on." And of course, somebody with she, they pronouns would be saying, hey, saying pronouns aren't a big deal is not a good thing, because we should be putting pronouns in everything. And if you're trying to say they shouldn't be in the game, then that's your problem, and don't die on that hill. While this...
Yeah, exactly. This is it's again kind of what I was saying before about how people who are, who are trying to push you into something, it's a very effective form of gaslighting to extrapolate or to radicalize your opinion into making it seem like more ridiculous or more insane than like what you actually thought.
Person is trying to die on the hill of why they're important. These people are lost in their own ideologies, thinking that the rest of the world are the crazy ones, unable
who cares,
to look
Andes?
internally at their own...
Yeah, never let anybody tell you who cares to this, because they care. That's the way they're at. That's why they're adding it. And saying who cares is just to insult your intelligence and make you shut up. That's it.
Faults. They're latching on to what is accepted. And in doing so, creating an unwelcome environment to actual developers at the company that care about the game that they're working on. And like a previous inside whistleblower told me, is not everyone at Obsidian is a bad person. In fact, many of the developers there are hardworking, good developers that care, that want these games to be great. And they're dealing with these internal pressures and struggles from people like Matt Hansen, creating this environment, allowing it to flourish there. It's really as simple as that. A completely different whistleblower recently reached out to me, revealing that Matt Hansen is reportedly protected by the higher-ups at not just Obsidian, but...
I could see that not lasting. I think that nobody is protected ever. And the moment that they start losing money for the company, they're gone. Like, he might have friends there or something like that. Oh, yeah, for sure. But after that, it doesn't matter. The guy needs to be sacked? Yeah, I mean, I think he does too. And by the way, never feel bad about saying that, because if you said something that was politically incorrect from his viewpoint, he would be one of the first people that would be promoting and trying to advocate for you being fired from your job. This is the exact kind of person that does stuff like that. So never feel bad for people like this.
Microsoft proper, with his job being completely secure at this time, despite the growing backlash and the constant toxic work environment that he himself has contributed to cultivate. And taking a step back just from hearing that information, especially considering everything else that's come to light regarding the toxic behavior and leadership styles, it makes you wonder, if the protection is indeed the case here, why is that? It almost seems like Microsoft themselves is in agreement with, or at least complicit in, the way Hansen is acting. And that
the reason why they're in agreement with it is because they're ideologically captured by this viewpoint. Because their entire probably HR and marketing departments are filled with people that think like this. So there's never even a point where it can be discussed in a rational way without it being tied to the inevitable conclusion that they're right. So that's the reason why it keeps happening. And this is why I think these studios are going to have a really hard time getting rid of these people. It's because these people effectively have infected these studios in these different points of like art, like whether it's like movies, TV shows, like Netflix stuff, like The Witcher, for example, or like a video game. They've infected this at a very, very deep level. And in my opinion, I don't think that you can get them out. I don't think you can get rid of them. And I think that they will kill the entire studio. That's what my perspective is. I think they will completely kill it. They're a cancer? Yeah. The studio will shut down? Yeah, and you see this happen constantly. Corporos still think that's what gamers want. It's more than that. They, maybe for the people that think that that's not what gamers want, they're still terrified of the idea of acting against it because they're worried about being labeled or slandered as if they were like haters of this ideology. They're worried about getting canceled, basically, right? And so this is basically, and this is how, again, this is how these people wield power, right? There's this ecosystem of grievances that these people use in order to maintain a power structure, right? And so like what they do is there are like journalists and there's media that tries to push the narrative that this is important and that you need to have this, and that media itself, art, should be graded on these criteria. And then they create the necessity for people in the company to solve the problem that media creates. And then you can see how these things keep together, right? And there's like an ecosystem for it. So they necessitate each other. And then you also have just groups of people online that think this way too. It's a DLC system, create problems so they sell solutions. Yeah, exactly. It's like having energy in a gacha game. Why do you have energy in a gacha game? Well, I'll tell you why. It's so you can sell the solution to energy. This is the same thing fundamentally.
Itself raises serious questions about the company's stance on fostering healthy, and this is what they always say, inclusivity at the workplace, when what they're doing is creating an environment of hostility and toxicity where if you are not part of it, then you are the outcast, and ergo, you are next on the chopping block because you don't fit in with like-minded people. It's time for us to shine a big spotlight on these actions and hold leaders
I agree with him on this. I think that these people do need to be held accountable, and the public needs to be aware of the kinds of things that they say and do. It's a very extremely unpopular ideology, and it's held together by a group of people that maintain a stranglehold on communication. And that stranglehold was broken by Elon Musk when he bought Twitter, and that's why they hate him. And the fact is that in any sort of public space, this thinking immediately dies, and it's immediately seen as ridiculous. That's why they're afraid of it getting out. They're afraid of it getting out because deep down inside, they know that they're wrong. They know that what they're doing is self-indulgent, belligerent, childish, and mean. They hate free speech. Exactly.
Matt Hansen accountable for fostering toxicity in the workplace. Studios like Obsidian need to be places where creativity and innovation thrive, not where employees are bullied into ideological submission.
Gamers... And you shouldn't hate on anybody in the company that doesn't speak out against this, because a lot of people are just people that want to have a job and you know, like, let's say they do art for this game and they just want to do the art for the game and that's it. They don't have, like, not everybody has to be a soldier in your army. There's no, if you're not for us, you're against us. There are people that say, I don't care about this. That's fine. If you don't give a shit, totally fine. The only issue is when you tell other people they can't give a shit, or you tell people that they can't give a shit and they have to care.
Deserve better. Developers deserve better. And most importantly, the entire video game industry on the whole deserves better. Yeah. And at this rate, the only thing we can do to fight back is to just shine a spotlight on it. Air this dirty laundry out for everyone to see. And hopefully, naturally, change will happen and shift the game industry back to a better place. Yeah. And I already feel like that's kind of starting. But we got a long way to go. Anyways, I've already droned on enough with this. There is a lot more information if you guys are interested in taking a deep dive. Check out smashjt.com for the full article. I will link it in the description below. If you guys appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much to this whistleblower that reached out. I know it took a very brave person to do this and share these messages.
It's also really important to keep in mind that all of this could be fake. I remember when there was like something shared of a game recently that was just turned out to be totally fake. You should never take, like, I mean, like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, right? But like, I've used this video primarily to talk about like a meta issue and not exactly about like what's being said specifically word for word and who's wrong and who's right. Like, except for like at the beginning with that first guy, I guess. But otherwise, we don't really know whether any of this happened or not. And let's be real. It seems too tame to be fake. I also agree that I think that it's real. If I didn't think it was real, I wouldn't have talked about it, right? But me thinking that it isn't the same as it being.
Because I know exactly what's going to transpire now. Instead of Obsidian taking a step back and looking internally and trying to reevaluate what they're doing, they're going to start looking for who this person was and find out what happened and how this leak got out there.
It's real simple to find out who did it. Look at the person who, when the game comes out, their work was well received by players. That's the person who did it.
Complete wrong approach, and I hope I'm wrong about that, but I think we already know better. But hopefully, eventually, they start realizing internally that the problem is with them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing. And it goes to show just how in the heads people are with these...
Nope. Good one. Yeah, I'll be honest, like, I feel like a lot of these posts, a lot of this wasn't really that bad, but I think towards the end, it definitely got weird. Especially with like talking about like finding an animal and making it named after Elon Musk, and then being able to, not too late to add a rat creature to the game and name it Elongated Muskrat that distinctly mumbles something about pronouns and drops shoddily blood-soaked nimbrals when you stab it. Like, in my opinion, like if I worked at a company, I wouldn't say anything else in this entire thread was problematic at all. But if I did work at a company and I was in charge, I would say to this person, like, you have to delete that. Like, you can't talk like this in a public professional setting. Like, it's totally over the line. Like, that's the only one that I think is actually over the line. Super unprofessional. Yeah. So no humor. When the humor is based around creating caricatures of real people and then killing them, no. Yeah, no, that's not. It's the same as like you don't really make race jokes at work, right? There are obvious, like, you don't make jokes about like how the female employees are fat or ugly or how big their boobs are. Like, everybody knows this. Like, a lot of us have been in professional spaces before. We understand how to act. We know what the difference between humor and grotesque bad behavior is. It's obvious. So yeah, it's that simple. I just think Obsidian, based on the quality of the recent games, is worthy of benefit of the doubt over whether this is real or not. It matters. I think that I will play the game when it comes out regardless. This is a good video. I hope JT's right about this, because I feel like the more times that like people push leaks around and then they are turned out to be fake, people like it just makes everybody look stupid. But yeah, you know the difference. A lot of people don't. Yeah, but other people's stupidity doesn't mean that it's my problem. And so it's the same thing that I've said with my stream. It's like I've always said in like any of like my guilds in like video games, it's like if you're being annoying, you will be kicked out. And then somebody says, I don't know what being annoying is, I'm just going to kick you out right now. Because every normal person knows what that is. Yeah, really. Rip Bozo. You're done. Okay, you don't understand? Great. Let's save everybody some time. Yep, agree. Grounded opinion. Yep, absolutely. Oh, no, that's me. I'm autistic. No, I think that even people who are autistic can mask their behavior in polite company, and they should be expected to. If you have any sort of a condition that causes you to make other people uncomfortable or other people feel weird, the moment that, like, I'm very understanding of people that have mental issues, but that understanding goes to literally zero the moment those mental issues affect other people in a material way. So if you're doing something to make other people uncomfortable, or you're being hostile or angry towards people because you're mad or you don't know how to act, now that's a you problem. Because you're responsible for how you behave around other people. Yeah, your safe space shouldn't come at the cost of other people's safe space. That's exactly right. Yep, you're totally right. It's that simple. And I'm surprised there hasn't been enough pushback to get this stuff out of the office. It's impossible to do it because these people will claim that if you go against them, you're like some sort of like a bigot or it's like discrimination. So that's the reason why I think that you can't really get rid of it. And what's going to end up happening is that they're going to have to shut down studios that have this problem. And I don't think it's ever going to stop or go away. I know it's kind of like maybe a doomer take on this, but that's really what my viewpoint on it is. So yeah.